It started off in 1982 when a friend of mine, an engineer, introduced me to photography. He introduced me to camera. So, and then also the thing about photography, and the moment I started off, and I did not look back. So back in 1984, I decided to woke up one morning. I already have my own construction company, and with my friends, right? So we set up a company and already doing very well. My friends now are millionaire now, and it started very well. Then one day I just woke up one morning. I decided that's it. I want to quit. I want to be a photographer.
That time you already take up any course?
No. Not really, but I have just small little course that I took in during what I call in Singapore, one small little course, but nothing much to it. But then I was quite determined, so I said, oh, okay. So it was a 2-3 months course over the weekend and things like that. So it wasn't really anything. You just learn about how to shoot night scene, sunset, and things like that. It wasn't really anything at all, actually. But then I think there must be something more to it. So after I have my own company, my own construction company, that is in 83 and 84. Coming back to KL already from Singapore, we started a company with some friends, and after that, I think about a year, I woke up one morning and said, that's it, I have enough. I want to be a photographer, So spoke to my dad. With my dad's and mom's support, I flew off to England. What do you think about photography? Is like Malaysia photography is just basically just about portrait studios. People have perception about Malaysians studios is photography is portrait studio, passport photograph, and things like that. So they do not know anything about the commercial side of photography and a lot more things about photography. So the exposure of our Malaysians to photography is very, very little. So anyway, that was then I went to England, studied in England, and found that throughout the course is not too good. The school wasn't very what I wanted, so I flew off to Boston.
You didn't complete the course in UK?
No. I was there for 9 months.
9 months.
Yeah, 9 months, and found that the course is not what I wanted. So after that, I went off to Boston. In Boston, that's where the real learning starts. You
straight away go to a degree of photography?
No, this is a diploma. It's a diploma. So you enter the course where they teach you to become a professional photographer. They teach you from the very basic of photography, from black and white, and using 4x5 cameras. That is the basic we start off with. Nothing else. 4x5, black and white. Everything we shoot for almost a year is on black and white and with a 4x5 camera. Huge camera, a box camera. And we are not allowed to use anything else. But that is the part where we really train our basic. We really train our basic, train our eyes, train everything. So the basic training for 1 solid year. And then after that, we are allowed to measure and teach other subjects.
Your training is more on the technical part of the camera, or is like analyze the composition of the photo?
Both. Yeah. So when you are technically sound, then only you can produce the image that you want. Without technical capability, you cannot produce a piece that you think you can show to people. Because if the quality is no good, if the technicality is not up to mark, there's nothing to show. It's mediocre, amateurish kind of work. Because once you understand the technical side of it, and the element and design, the whole thing, the emotional part of everything, then you begin to put it in. You put into your pictures all those things, right? And then the pictures begins to work. You see, so from there, from the school, New England School of Photography, that's where I really learned. I learned so much, and especially we have very good lecturers, Mr. David Akiba, Sam London, and then of course Mr. Tom Pettit himself. Very, very good lecturers where they teach from the design part to the emotional part of photography.
You were saying that the whole 2 years learning only black and white photography.
Yes.
So how many years in total that you taught?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah. So after we have the basic down of black and white, then we are allowed to use 35mm cameras. We are exploring colors. We are exploring what they call deeper into the portraitures. We are exploring experimentals of colors. We are exploring further black and white stuff. So once we have the basic down, we know tonality and we know emotion, we know lines, we know lights and shadows, textures. Those are already behind us, right? Once we have all the elements down, it's in us already. All those elements is in us. We know those elements. So we just have to use them. We use them and we come out with projects and the works that we want to portray. Is it?
During there, do you have any chance to work with a photographer?
Yeah, we have what they call training internships, and also sometimes because we will sneak out and work with some photographers and things like that at times where we don't have lecturers or schools. We will go to help or work with some photographers, you know, churi lah sometimes. But because in a way we will spend a lot of time during sometime work and couldn't do some homework sometimes. But I think working with a professional photographer, you learn a lot. You learn a lot. What you perceive as sometimes correct in school might not work in the real world. But when I was a child, I was very inspired by David Attenborough. I don't know whether you also do documentaries or black and white documentaries about. The time was black and white. When I was a child, all the documentaries about animals, from BBC David Attenborough, fantastic series of documentaries, and it always inspired me since a child. Wonderful documentaries of birds, animal life, about life on Earth, and about evolutions, about things. But the photography and the way that David Attenborough will put words and into the whole thing, just fantastic. That was the biggest part of influence, I think, in any visual impact on me, is by this great gentleman, you know, David Attenborough himself. And it was such a privilege to have seen so much of his documentaries. That inspired me, you know, to become a visual maker, in a way, image maker. Yeah. It was. We went down all the way to Florida, then traveled the West Coast a little bit. Because America is very, very big. You can't finish the whole place. Then when I finished my study, my dad was not well, so I flew back. Then stay on to work and start off as an assistant photographer.
Back in Malaysia.
Back in Malaysia. As an assistant photographer, earning 350 ringgit a month.
Wow.
350 ringgit a month. Of course, not enough money. Almost end of the month, I have to borrow $50 from friends to survive. All right, but the passion of the photography keep me going actually.
You start off in KL.
KL. And then after a while, I went on to teach in MIA. MIA for a while. Then after that, I came off full-fledged as a photographer. That's what I think is important to be. You have to work in the field to be able to contribute commercially and also doing real work in the real world. Then once you finish all that, you have experience, a very good experience, maybe about 10, 15 years or 20 years, then I think going back to the college to teach would be a much better thing. Because now our problem, what I have found out in our colleges, we are not taught by professionals. Our colleges and universities and all this are not taught by professionals. They are taught by academicians. When you're taught by academicians, you are teaching from the book. You are not teaching from the real world experience of things that the whole thing is going through. So when you will have a big problem in what we call in the future generation. It's what we call in-reading. You see? My work, okay, my work is, I would describe my work as a bit more towards emotional side. The emotional side, what is important to me, because I grew up in a small village, I grew up in rubber estates, I grew up in those what I call wooden houses, among a lot of friends and running around wild in the forest, swimming and things like that. So to me, relationship is very important. So that's why for me, how to call it, emotion side of things is very important, right? So when for my work, I think I would describe it's very much more sometimes emotional, has a lot of feelings and emotions to it, right? That is my for most of my work. But of course, being a professional, you cannot just do one thing. We do a lot of other things that make our bread and butter, right? We do a lot of work for Malaysian Airlines, Petronas. We shoot cars, we shoot products, and we shoot a lot of other things also with it. So, but the work that I like to do best is mostly a lot about emotion.
For the commercial side.
For the commercial side. You see, a lot of the time.
Portraiture or the studio type of.
We don't do portraiture. We don't do portraiture. The portraiture that we do is mostly for what I call for commercial use. So we don't do weddings and stuff like that. This is another very good trade also, weddings and portraitures. But sometimes it's what I call your mental makeup is not for that, so it's difficult to go into that. But a lot of people making very good living and doing very good work from the what I call portraiture and wedding sites. There are a lot of good work also. This is a series that we did for posters for Petronas. This is during Sukma, actually during Commonwealth. Actually, we wanted to do this for Commonwealth. But during the time, the whole economy collapsed, so things cannot be seen, been splashing all over the place. So this is about Malaysian sports. How Malaysians start their sports. If we remember very correctly, our golden years of sports in Malaysia is in the 60s and 70s. And most of the sportsmen actually come from kampungs and small towns and things like that. And where do they train? They train actually nearby the house. You see? Like this one, badminton. Where do we play badminton when we were young? We tarik a string, a raffia string or a rope across our neighbor's house or two tiang. One rope, and we play badminton. The inspiration of playing badminton, and we always glued to the TV when Thomas Cup is on. After Thomas Cup, we will play using that one line. We play. You see, there's no proper courts and no proper facilities for a lot of the players, but it's that they have this passion. They have just so intense passion of liking for the sports. That's why during the time, Malaysian sports are so well known in Asia. We are on par with a lot of very strong countries during the time. Right. So this is the inspirations towards playing badminton. This is the Thomas Cup. says here, between my back window and yours lies a road that leads to Thomas Park. A very simple line that this line was written by Yasmin Ahmad. He gave us the line, and then we come up with he gives us a line, and then me and the art directors come up with a visual for the thing. So we went into small towns, small kampongs to look for the visuals that the place that we used to think, that people were able to train. This is about all gymnastic, On my way to the school, I did a front summer twist and a backflip, So this is the inspiration. Even a kampong, you see a little trunk, you want to do a gymnastic act here. This piece is about diving. When we are young, normally we will go to the jetty or go into a bridge to learn diving. You see, when we are young, we don't know what is diving all about. But if the inspirations of for the sport or the liking for diving, right? So Yasmin came up. With a line says, "When I close my eyes, the roar of the river becomes the roar of the audience when I score a perfect 10." You see, we all from kampong, we dive into the river, and we dive into mining ponds and things like that. We dive into the sea. That's where all the talents are. We build our confidence with what we learned from those rural areas. You see, raw, but this is Malaysian sports training ground. The famous Batu Cave staircase, right? The famous Batu Cave staircase, where even now, until now, all our national athletes are required to train there, run up and down the staircase, the stairs of Batu Cave. This is so important. Simple thing, but this is Malaysian training ground. You see, so this is a very local, I would say. You can raise the price of your racing bikes. You can choose the gates to your velodrome. You can close the gates to your velodrome, and you can keep your training to your chosen sons. All I need is the bicycle outside my door and the fire inside my heart. I think this line sum up all about Malaysians athletes during the time. They have that tremendous passion in their heart for running, for cycling, for football, for diving, for all the things. That's why until now, you say the football, who's the best here? We still think of Sandok Singh, Mokhtar, Dahari and Sochinan. Is this so? Why? They don't have big, nice stadium for them to train during the time. They have the kampong field that they play on. You see, it's the passion that they bring in along the game. You see. There's no really a rule of third. I think the rule of third is meant to be broken, but I really never, I learned that, but I never used it. My lecturers actually says those rule of third or things like that is quite pretentious in a lot of the time. I think if you are looking in the frame, right, we were taught to use all the way to the edge. Not even 1/3. We were taught to use all the way to the edge, the corners.
Framing out.
Yeah. So how we frame the subject, how will we frame a subject, and how much do we frame? So we actually see all the way to the corners. We do not omit the corners. The corners are very important. The sides are very important. Top and bottoms are very important.
All ages.
All ages. The whole thing inside. So the rule of third, for me, it doesn't work. I don't use it. I do not use the rule of third.
Which one that you really use a lot?
Alright. Even things like that, right? This is for Malaysia Airlines. This is we shot it in Angkor Wat. This picture we shot in Angkor Wat.
Any manipulation on it, or it's a real thing?
It's a real thing, but we tweak the color.
Oh.
We take the color. We change the color a bit.
Where different shot?
It's in Angkor Wat in Cambodia. Yeah. So what we have to, we went to the shoot, and we invited a couple of monks to stand into positions where we wanted them to be, and then we shot it as it is. But the framing of this is, even here is important, you see. Even the corners of this is important, where I have to see these things here. I saw this thing before I shot. These are things that I noticed, that I make sure the trees are there, that are not, there's a tree there to block the hole there, right? And then even the edge here, I want to make sure that things that come here doesn't block or enhance the picture, right? Even this dark space, the whole structure of it, I would have to see it in my eye that it works. It does not obstruct, but it will enhance the picture. So the rule of third doesn't really need to be adhered to, actually. Do not be a slave to formulas. Do not be a slave to rules. Rules are there just to kind of like sometimes to guide you, but it's for you to break. You have to break the rules to create a so-called better pieces of work. If you keep on doing a one-third, everybody is doing one-third. There's nothing so special about your work than the rest of the people's work. So it is there's one-third things doesn't work in a lot of the time, and doesn't have to be one-third. And when you are confident in your work, that you know what you're doing, you can actually put the things right in the middle if you want. Nobody says it's wrong. Nobody can say it's wrong, because you know what you're doing. When you know what you're doing, it doesn't matter actually whether you 1/3 or 2/3 or half or right in the center. A lot of time people say don't put the subject in the center. If you know what you're doing, put it in the center. If you want it there, put it there. There's no harm. No harm at all. This picture all the way to the corners, not even 1/3. In this picture you see is all the way to the corners. The most important happening is here. The starting point is here. It's right at the corner, diagonal. Right? Very important, this corner. Shift all the way to the side here, the bird.
So the diagonal make the most active part of it.
Diagonal can be making most of the active part of it, but we don't have to be so stringent about that at times. So it works very well, right at the corner.
How you capture the bird? Is it the natural?
This one, bluff one.
Add in.
We add in during computer time. Yeah. Nowadays technology is moving so fast. There's no such thing as you can capture a lot of the time. There are birds there. Actually, we shot some birds there, but the birds was too small. So we have to reshoot the bird to strip into that position that we want.
What do you want to tell about these photos?
Oh, this is to sell Kuala Lumpur to places like India, China, and overseas. What Malaysia is all about. This ad appear in Sweden, India, Europe, America. So they want to bring tourists and people into Malaysia. This is for Malaysia Airlines. This is to indicate the which days flights are being flying from their country. One thing that I want to emphasize on, after signing all the design of a photograph and the elements of all the things, what is really important is the emotional side, right? We have to be able to put an emotional side to our picture. Very, very important. If you do not have an emotional side to your picture might become too cold and it might just failed in a sense. But this is a series that we did for Bank Bumi Putra Commerce Bank. It's about parental care. It's about parental care, how we think that we always live longer than our parents, but a lot of the time we didn't know that we might die before our parents, and who's going to take care of them, you see. So this little product from ECBB was very good. They have this product where you can do your saving, that monthly they will remit money bank in money into your parents' account automatically every month. So what we have to do, the undirected indication was to find a very gentle looking old lady. Now we found the old lady in a little kampong near Sekambut area, not Sekambut, Setapak area. Very gentle looking lady. So we photographed her. We spent about an hour. But to capture her moment of that silence and that how they call a motherly looking side, we have to talk to her and then understand her, what she do every day.
Yourself, talk to her?
Yeah. Spend about an hour or so just chit-chatting with her, talking to her, and then as she began to relax and get to know us a bit more better, then she began to talk, and then she began to feel very motherly actually. She started getting drinks for us and asking for drinks and everything. So that's where this slowly you can see her side of being a mother start coming out. It was fantastic. It was just about 2-3 rolls of film we shot, and we got the shot. It was a fantastic shoot. It's a very emotional side of this old lady. Very simple. So this is to enhance the product from the bank about taking care of the mother. So when people look at the picture, they would think about the mother. You see? And this old man, yeah. You see, we want to make him look a little bit sad. We want to make him look a little bit lonely. So that's why we have him the head down, the what they call the body language.
You instruct him to do that?
Oh yeah. We instruct him to do it. We instruct not even the body language. We instruct him to think that he's lonely. So that when you give an instruction to that person to tell him to be in that situation, his body language automatically will be different. His facial expressions will be different, and the whole thing. A simple thing like the other day we were shooting for PCBB also. This man doesn't own a factory, but I have him standing in front of a factory. I tell him, think that this is your factory, and you said it out loud. This is my factory. When he said it, this is my factory, and he actually, the smile in him is so correct, and we got a shot. So the happiness.
All these people, these smaller, all ordinary people.
Ordinary people, nothing special about them, right? So they are not trained in any way, but because we wanted the look, we just instruct them to give that feeling. So the body posture, the language, the eye, those when we will just feed it to him, then he will do it, and then we capture that moment.
Like you say, your photograph is in the commercial line, and usually you will get all these words first, or slogan or anything to start off, right?
Yeah, we do.
By like that.
Yeah, we will go for a meeting,
But
a briefing.
How you start off with only these words?
We will start off with the words, right? And then you have a rough sketch or whatever it is. But
so you already can visualize the
yeah, when you read the line, normally we read the line first. What is the art director trying to say? You understand what they're trying to say, then we put it inside our head, and then from there we visualize what we want to be in our picture. Then we work very closely with the art director, what we want to accomplish. You have to, then the technical side of it will come in. We want it grainy, we want it black and white, we want all those things will be nailed down. So in the what I call a briefing and discussion, it will all be nailed down.
So either black and white or color photography is you choose or the client choose?
Most of the time is discussion. Most of the time is discussion, and sometimes art directors insist on certain things, or we can discuss about it. But mostly after the discussion, whether it's black and white or color. So that's where the input as a photographer is important to the what I call to the piece of work.
What made you decide that you want to put this man in the middle of your photograph or not in the side view? Is there anything that you plan on it?
Actually, this as I say, when you already knew what you're doing, if you know what you're doing, there's nothing wrong of putting the person in the middle. But looking at the picture, he's not right in the middle. His face is not in the middle here. You see, he's still right around the side. And then we still have a bit of space on the left.
I think the space around it really creates a sense of loneliness.
Exactly. So you have to have the space around it to create the loneliness, the tonality, the grain size, right? All this, the texture here, the lighting here, that create the feeling. His body posture, his expression, and the whole thing, it has to work together. It cannot be just one element. It cannot be just his expression all the time. But with the enhancement comes from these things like that. Then the chair he's sitting on, the dirt bit on the wall, all those are the things that added to the feeling, the emotional side of what I'm talking earlier, the emotional side of the picture, which is very important.
How about the costume? Do you choose a dress that you must wear at the time? Or?
Yeah, the wardrobe, we call it wardrobing. Wardrobe, we normally, we will decide what wardrobe that we want, what kind of wardrobe. This comes from, the wardrobe comes from normal observations of the, how they call it, what people wear. You have to have the observation, because unless you have the observations of what people normally wear and what old people wear, or what young people wear, or maybe a Malay wear a different color, a Chinese will wear a different color. So observation as a photographer and as the art director also is very important. So we will discuss with the art director, and then the clothes that we want, and then we get the wardrobe artist also come in, and then we will prepare the wardrobe.
I see a great repetition here about the texture behind the wall and the wooden wall and the dress. It's all striped. Is it purposely?
Oh no. It's when we ask this man to wear the stripe, it's when you see, if you notice, Chinese men living in a village, about 50, 60 years old or 50 years old and above, they all wear striped t-shirts. All of them wear striped. In fact, I think maybe about 80% of them will wear a striped t-shirt.
But it really make a good
It's a coincidence.
Yeah.
It's a coincidence. Because it's a plank, it's wooden house. But then it's the observation that we always make. That's why in come to subject, we always draw onto our own experience, the observation we have made or things that we have known, to put into the subject. That's where what we call putting your emotion, your knowledge, emotion into the picture. You see, it's very important.
Very great photograph. That really tells a lot of story.
Yeah, this is it's a very good. I'm very proud of this series that we made, and I think also not only that, socially it helped a lot of old people, you know. So the parents, the children will send money automatically back. Can you imagine your mother or your father have to wait for your money to go and buy food? They're living in a kampong or in a small village that they do not have money. They are waiting for you to send them money every month. It's a very cruel thing to make your parents wait for your money. It's really cruel. So if you have the bank doing it for you monthly, you don't have to worry about it. Every month, end of the month or beginning of the month, your parents would get the money so they can buy food or buy anything that they want, right? At least they can, survive and things like that. So I think it's a very good product that PCBB has come up with. In a way, also this is for Malaysian Airlines, very simple baby. But you look at the baby so silently sleeping there. The expression of the baby sleeping also was a point of content during our shoot. The art director wanted the baby that sleeps just begin to fall asleep.
So how long it takes waiting for this moment?
It took us the whole day from morning to evening.
To wait for this?
Yes. From morning to evening to take one shot. And if you are lucky for baby, you can get one shot for one day. Normally, one of the toughest things to shoot is babies, and is one of the toughest things to shoot. You cannot control them; they control you. So when the baby sleep, everybody sleep. When the baby not moving, nobody will move. So shooting baby is one of the toughest thing actually. But you see, so nice. You can, in the actual shoot, the baby's hand is here, but actually one of my assistant's hand is inside underneath the pillow, holding the baby's hand, touching the nose.
So how you
make sure the baby really fall asleep deep, then you put the hand inside, so it won't wake the baby. It's one of the very, very tough shoots.
So your photograph is without your assistant hand?
Yeah, of course, the assistant.
Any particular reason that you choose to this landscape?
Is this because what do you call? They want it for billboards and things like that. So this is the format for the billboard. So this is one of the reasons that we choose to shoot it this way.
Why you choose white?
White is what do you call? That cleanliness and that, how they call that, peacefulness, and we don't have pink or blue or things like that. So just to make it very neutral. It could be a baby boy or a baby girl. It doesn't matter. So we do want to put as if the pink color will be girl and the blue will be boy. So we do want that, is it? So we wanted a very neutral feeling that it could be a boy or a girl. It's just a baby, is it? That was the reason that we choose white. These are a few more series, the same series from Malaysian Airlines. This is a festival, Hari Raya festival, for Malaysia Airlines. This is for Hari Raya, one of the years that we shot this.
You want to explain a bit why you are creating here very bright and the other side is black?
The reason we want this side, the art director wanted this side black, is also to enhance the mood of the emotional side, the mood of the subject. So it will bring this color out. You have the black here, very much more subtle black tone, so these colors will come up. If you have a lot of other colors here, you'll be fighting with your colors here. So we keep it neutral, dark black color will just naturally stand up. And also explains this one also, the Pawali, because of the black, right? A lot of space in the black. But then you have this beautiful red saris, bright colors standing out. It visually is very pleasing. The process of work in our line, let's say for example we take this car shoot and things like that. So first of all, the agency will come up with a concept. We will go for a meeting and what it's all about. So then we will send our producers and our assistants to look out for locations, the car, what they want, right? So once we get that, the locations of the shoot, whether in the studio or in a location. So once we settle that down, we will go into production phase, where we time, where's the shoot, what time is the shoot, where's the shoot, the permissions, everything will be worked after, right? And we will be looked after. So we have to get permission from the police or from the local councils to close the road and things like that. So all those are things that we have to look into before the cars comes. What time, where the sun comes out in the morning. When you do recce, the assistant, when they do recce, they have to know where the suns are come out in the morning. Where the sun comes out in the morning, and what direction is setting the whole thing. What is all there? So everything have to be worked out, where the sun is coming from. Once it, on the production day, on the shoot day, we will have a crew call, what time? Sometimes our crew call is 4 o'clock in the morning. Right? So everyone gather here in the studio, pack equipment, and go to the locations. And wait for the sun, and then we station the car, everything nicely. When the sun comes up to the position that we want, we start shooting. So it's a long process, and once we shoot it, after shooting it, we get the raw file or the raw images. Then we come back in the studio, we will enhance the colors or change the colors that we want in the computer.
But the overlapping images here is natural or is
this is a one shot. This is a one shot. But a lot of the time we will shoot the car separate. A lot of the time, shoot the car separate, shoot the scene at the back separate. But in this case, we don't have to. We can get it in one shot because yeah, and then also looking at the what I call reflections and things like that. So the photographers shot it. This was shot my photographers in my studio.
So how long do your plan and until the production day? How many days involved?
Sometimes it depends again on how extensive is the campaign. Sometimes the planning is for about a week or sometimes 2 weeks, and we are sometimes given only 3 days to prepare a shoot, or sometimes 1 day. Terrible, you know. So we will make the best out of everything. If we have more time, we will really have a lot of time to prepare. That means the work will be much better. When we do not have time to prepare and understand the subject better, our shots normally are not as great as what we have more time. That's always the case. But sometimes we do have luck on our side. Even though with short time, we can get good shots. There's no such thing as Malaysian identity, I think. It's very difficult because when you shoot local subject, you have the local flavor to it, right? If you go to America, a photographer from Malaysia goes to America to shoot, it will look almost like an American photography, you see? Photography being a very neutral, I would say a very neutral medium. It will reflect what is the subject is actually.
It's kind of like capture something and telling the story.
Yes, exactly. So it captures a local scene. A Malaysian, the way the Malaysian shoot will be very much of Malaysian subject. So the Malaysian flavor will be there. But unless you can able to put your emotion into it, like the series will be done on the Petronas, that's very Malaysian. A lot of time Malaysian can relate to it. Maybe not American, not British or not, but a Malaysian can relate to it because of the subject that's inside, the background, the textures, the clothing, the whole thing of it. The Malaysian people can relate to it, but not so much of other country people maybe.